Today I will be discussing 9/11, the day that will never be forgotten. This is to bring social awareness and to inform the dangers that occurred on that horrific day of September the 11th, 2001. The attack that happened in New York City was never foreseen. According to Wilburn Hampton, an award-winning author, recounts one horrifying day in the history through the eyes of several who experienced it firsthand. The terroristic attacks that happened on 9/11 remains one of the famous tragedies in history. I have done extensive research on this topic. I have read and researched books about the events that happened on 9/11. First, I will discuss the terrorist hijacking of commercial flights. Second, I will be discussing the buildings that were attacked. And finally, I will be discussing the lives that were saved and lost. The hijacking of commercial flights had been planned before the attacks. There were 4 planes that were hijacked on that horrific day. The first plane to be hijacked was American Air Flight 11, a Boeing 767-200ER. It was 159 feet long and 2 inches long, with a 16-foot, 6-inch wide body that allowed for 2 aisles. The plane made daily flights from Boston to Los Angeles, and when it took off that morning, it only had 81 passengers in its 158 seats. The second plane was United Flight 175, also a Boeing. It was scheduled to fly between Los Angeles and LAX. When this flight left, it had less people than American Flight 11. It only had 56 passengers out of 168 seats. This plane flew into the South Tower of the World Trade Center and was going at the speed of 590 miles per hour, striking between floors 77 and 85. It had approximately 10,000 U.S. gallons of jet fuel. The other 2 planes that were hijacked were the American Airlines Flight 77 that carried only 58 passengers of 170 seats, crashed into the Pentagon. The United Airlines Flight 93 that carried 37 passengers of 182 seats, crashed into the fields in Shanksville, Pennsylvania. The hijackers that were involved were from Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, Lebanon, and Egypt. These men slowly arrived in groups into the United States between January 2000 and mid-2001. There were 19 men involved in the hijacking of 4 American airlines that were affiliated with the group by Al-Qaeda. The terrorists sought to enter the United States on a suicide mission. The hijackers ages from 20 to 33. And they were organized into 4 teams that included a pilot to subdue the pilots, passengers, and crew. The plans the hijackers had were to attack the federal buildings. According to the New York Times, some of the 9/11 terrorist plans, the commission staff said, called for hijacked jets to crash into the headquarters of the Federal Bureau of Investigations and the Central Intelligence Agency and various nuclear power plants. The terrorists wanted to attack the east and west coast also. The Jedites terrorists involved in these attacks felt that they were hated by the United States because they were persecuted for being Muslim. These terrorists believed that the U.S. is an enemy country and therefore it was all right to attack the women and children of the U.S. Now that I've discussed the terroristic attacks of commercial flights, I will now discuss the buildings that were attacked. According to Laura King Murray in her 2016 book, The Attack of 9/11, the historical account of 9/11 terroristic attacks included the events leading up to that day. The South Tower of the World Trade Center collapses 56 minutes after impact of Flight 175. The North Tower was first to be attacked at 8:46 a.m. With an hour and a half, both towers fell to the ground. The hijackers flew the plane into the Pentagon in Arlington County, Virginia at 9:37 a.m. The American Airlines carried a crew of 6 and 53 passengers. Thousands of individuals were killed in the terroristic attacks in New York, Washington, and Pennsylvania on September the 11th. A total of 343 firefighters and 60 police officers lost their lives trying to save others from that horrific day. The ones that survived will forever be haunted by the traumatic scenes they lived on the worst day of September the 11th, 2001. This attack on September the 11th, 2001 will be in history for generations. It will never be forgotten. A memorial called Reflecting Absence has been built for all the people that lost their lives on that tragic day. This is a fine example of how the United States will forever stand together.